Our sense of self-worth forms the foundation of every choice we make, especially in relationships. It is the lens through which we view ourselves and the world around us. When someone breaks us, whether through betrayal, neglect, or harm, they directly challenge that foundation. They leave us questioning our value, our judgment, and our ability to trust. But it's in these moments of pain and reflection that the true power of self-worth becomes evident. Self-worth is not something given to us by others. It is something we cultivate within ourselves. It is a deeply personal understanding that who we are, our character, our dreams, our individuality has value that is independent of external validation. Yet when we allow someone to break us and entertain the idea of returning to them, we risk surrendering that hard-earned sense of self. It's as though we're placing our value into their hands, waiting for them to determine if we're worthy of love, respect, or care. Pain can distort our perspective. It can make us believe that we are unworthy or that the person who hurt us is the only one who can restore us. This is a dangerous illusion. When someone breaks you, they show a disregard for your worth. To go back to them is to affirm their actions, to say, it's okay that you didn't see my value before, I'll give you another chance to overlook it. This diminishes your power and places it entirely in their control. Understanding and embracing your self-worth means recognizing that you are complete, even when someone else cannot see it. It means knowing that your value doesn't decrease just because someone failed to honor it. It means choosing to respect yourself enough to walk away from anyone who treats you as anything less than extraordinary. But let's be honest, this is not always easy. Love, connection, and shared history can cloud judgment. You may think, what if this time is different? Or what if I'm giving up too soon? These thoughts are natural, but they are also traps. They keep you anchored to a past that does not serve you. They make you forget that your self-worth is not negotiable, and it's certainly not dependent on someone else's ability to recognize it. Building and protecting your self-worth is a daily commitment. It requires boundaries, self-reflection, and the courage to prioritize your own well-being. It's about believing in your potential, even when the world or a single person tries to convince you otherwise. When you truly embrace your self-worth, you start making choices that align with the life you deserve. You stop settling for less than what uplifts and empowers you. The power of self-worth is transformative. It allows you to reclaim your narrative, to rise above the pain, and to forge a future that honors your intrinsic value. It reminds you that you are enough, just as you are, and that you never have to accept less than the respect and love you truly deserve. Pain is one of the most powerful forces that shape our lives, and although it's uncomfortable, it often carries within it the potential for incredible transformation. When we go through heartbreak, loss, or emotional turmoil, we are faced with the raw truth of who we are, what we've endured, and what we are capable of. While the immediate aftermath of pain can feel unbearable, it's important to recognize that it has the power to bring out our strength, resilience, and wisdom in ways we never thought possible. Heartbreak, in particular, isn't just a moment of emotional rupture. It's often the moment when we are forced to let go of old versions of ourselves, release illusions, and embrace new opportunities for growth. While heartbreak and pain can be catalysts for personal evolution, when a relationship ends, especially one where trust has been broken or where emotional needs haven't been met, it can feel as though our world has collapsed. We mourn the loss of a future we had envisioned with someone else and struggle to find a sense of purpose in the wake of that disruption. But within that devastation lies the potential for profound transformation. Each painful experience forces us to reevaluate who we are, what we want, and what we deserve. We begin to ask ourselves the difficult questions. What do I need to heal? What can I learn from this experience? What boundaries do I need to set moving forward? The process of healing from pain is a journey toward rediscovery. It is an opportunity to reconnect with our inner selves, to identify our strengths, and to redefine our goals and desires. Pain forces us to take a hard look at who we become and pushes us to move beyond the version of ourselves that was shaped by that painful experience. It helps us shed old beliefs that no longer serve us and invites us to develop a new, stronger sense of identity that is not rooted in past hurt or failures. As we begin to process the emotional aftermath, we often discover qualities in ourselves that we didn't know existed: resilience, perseverance, and an unwavering desire to move forward. Pain also has a way of aligning us with our true desires. When we experience loss, we are forced to evaluate our relationships, our choices, and the way we treat ourselves. The discomfort of heartbreak exposes the areas of our lives that need attention, growth, and change. It may be a difficult process, but it is a necessary one. Through this challenge, we begin to understand what we truly need to thrive, both as individuals and in future relationships. We start to recognize patterns in our behavior and how we allow others to treat us and in how we define our worth. This awareness becomes a powerful tool for change. It allows us to set clearer boundaries, to cultivate healthier habits, and to make choices that reflect our true values. In the aftermath of pain, we learn that we are not defined by our past experiences or by those who have hurt us. We are defined by our ability to rise above, to learn, and to grow. Each painful chapter of our lives is an opportunity to step into a stronger, wiser version of ourselves. It teaches us that our worth is not determined by the actions of others, but by how we choose to respond to adversity. Through this process of growth, we become more capable of creating the life we desire, the relationships we deserve, and the future we dream of. In any toxic relationship, one of the most insidious traps is the cycle of repeating the same patterns. It's a cycle that can feel impossible to break, where we find ourselves drawn back to the very people who have hurt us before, only to experience the same pain and disappointment once again. This repetition, however, is not due to a lack of willpower or strength. It's often a result of being blinded by emotional attachment, nostalgia, or an unrealistic hope that things will be different this time around. The key to breaking free from this cycle lies in recognizing these patterns and understanding that the real power to change begins with our ability to let go. Our emotions, particularly those rooted in past relationships, can often cloud our judgment. We may hold on to the memories of the good times, the moments that made us feel loved and cherished, believing that those fleeting instances outweigh the pain. But what we often fail to see is that the negative patterns, whether it's manipulation, dishonesty, emotional neglect, or disrespect, tend to resurface time and time again. These patterns are not just isolated incidents. They are a reflection of a deeper issue in the relationship that has not been addressed. When we return to someone who has hurt us, we are, in essence, signing up for the same painful experience we've already endured. This cycle does not reflect growth or healing. It reflects a failure to acknowledge the behavior that has caused the harm in the first place. Recognizing these patterns is not always easy, especially when our emotions are heavily invested in the relationship. It's common to believe that love can heal all wounds, that time will change people, or that we can somehow fix the other person. But the truth is, we can't change anyone except ourselves. People rarely change without a deep and genuine desire to do so, and even then, change takes time, effort, and a willingness to confront their own flaws. If we constantly return to someone who has hurt us, we are giving them the power to dictate the terms of our happiness, and in doing so, we lose control over our own lives. Breaking free from these destructive patterns requires both self-awareness and self-compassion. We must acknowledge the patterns that have been formed and accept that returning to the same person will not lead to a different result. It is a painful realization to face, especially when we still care about that person or have history with them. But staying in a toxic relationship out of a misguided sense of loyalty or hope only prolongs the suffering and delays the healing process. To truly heal, we must stop looking backward and begin to focus on moving forward. When we take the time to reflect on the patterns in our relationships, we begin to understand the root causes of our behavior and the choices we make. These patterns may stem from childhood experiences, past trauma, or insecurities that we carry into adulthood. Understanding these influences can help us break the cycle and make better choices in the future. This awareness is the first step toward creating healthier relationships, ones that are based on mutual respect, trust, and understanding rather than repeating the same damage dynamics over and over again. By breaking these patterns, we not only protect ourselves from further hurt, but we also create space for healthier, more fulfilling relationships in the future. The process may be difficult and uncomfortable, but it is a necessary part of personal growth. When we stop returning to those who have broken us, we start to reclaim our power. We become more intentional in our choices, more discerning about who we allow into our lives, and more confident in our ability to create relationships that nurture and support us. When we find ourselves in a relationship with someone who has already broken us, it's easy to overlook the long-term impact of staying in that relationship. The emotional cost of continuing to engage with someone who has hurt us can be immense, and it often goes unnoticed until we find ourselves completely drained, unable to give any more of ourselves. Every time we return to that person, every we allow them back into our lives after they've caused us pain, we're inadvertently sacrificing our own well-being for the hope that things might somehow improve. However, what we often fail to realize is that the longer we remain in a broken relationship, the more we lose emotionally, mentally, and even physically. The cost of staying broken is not always apparent right away. It often manifests over time in subtle ways until we are left feeling exhausted, diminished, and disconnected from ourselves. The emotional toll of being in a relationship where we are constantly hurt can take away our sense of self-worth, making us question our value and whether we truly deserve better. This erosion of self-esteem doesn't happen overnight, but rather in small increments as we repeatedly put ourselves in a situation where we are devalued, neglected, or mistreated. The more we allow these behaviors to continue, the more we internalize the message that we don't deserve love, respect, or care. We start to believe that we are not worthy of the kind of relationship that uplifts us or brings us peace. In addition to the emotional cost, staying in a broken relationship also comes with a significant mental and psychological price. We become consumed with trying to fix things, trying to understand the other person's behavior, or trying to make them change. This constant mental energy spent on the relationship can leave us feeling mentally exhausted and unable to focus on our own goals and aspirations. We lose sight of our own dreams, passions, and desires because we are so caught up in trying to repair something that may never truly be whole again. Our mental clarity becomes clouded by the constant back and forth of the relationship, and we can't see a way out. In this mental fog, we often fail to recognize the importance of self-care or pursuing things that bring us joy and fulfillment. The physical toll is perhaps the most overlooked aspect of staying in a toxic relationship. Stress, anxiety, and depression, common byproducts of being in an emotionally harmful relationship, can manifest in very real physical symptoms. The constant tension, the emotional roller coaster, the sleepless nights, and the anxiety about what comes next all contribute to a decline in physical health. Our bodies react to the stress we experience, and over time, this can lead to issues such as headaches and fatigue, weight changes, and even more severe health problems. The toll of staying broken is not just felt in the heart or mind, it takes a very real physical toll on our bodies. In many cases, the longer we stay in a broken relationship, the harder it becomes to break free. We grow accustomed to the pain, and the thought of leaving can feel overwhelming or even impossible. But it's important to recognize that by staying in the relationship, we're choosing to remain broken, choosing to allow someone else to dictate our emotional, mental, and physical state. In these moments, it is crucial to realize that the cost of staying is far greater than the cost of leaving. The pain of leaving may feel immense in the short term, but in the long run, it is the only way to heal and reclaim our happiness, peace, and health. Staying in a relationship that has already broken us only ensures that we continue to lose pieces of ourselves, leaving us with less and less until there is nothing left to give. Rebuilding your identity after a difficult experience, especially one where you've been emotionally broken, is one of the most empowering journeys you can embark on. It's easy to lose sight of who you truly are when you've been hurt, betrayed, or neglected by someone you trusted. During and after such experiences, it feels as though a part of yourself is lost, leaving you searching for the person you were before the pain. But in reality, this loss is not as much about losing who you were, but about the opportunity to rediscover and recreate who you can be. When you face emotional devastation, your initial instinct may be to hold on to what you once were, to try and return to the state of comfort and security that existed before. However, the truth is that trying to go back to your old self means denying the growth and lessons you've gained through the pain. Painful experiences often challenge us to rethink the way we see the world, the people around us, and ourselves. They force us to examine our values, desires, and boundaries instead of remaining stuck in the past. It's essential to recognize that these experiences have reshaped you in ways that can be incredibly powerful if you allow them to. Rebuilding your identity after pain means reestablishing your sense of self, but not as a return to what was, but as a redefinition of who you are in the present and future. It's about taking all the pieces of yourself, the scars, the lessons, the growth, and using them to forge a stronger, wiser, and more authentic version of who you are. You may feel lost or uncertain at first, but every step you take toward healing is a step toward uncovering a version of yourself that is more aligned with your true desires, values, and potential. In this process, you rediscover your passions, your goals, and your sense of purpose that may have been overshadowed by the pain. Building a new identity requires self-compassion. It's easy to be critical of yourself after a difficult experience, to blame yourself for what went wrong, or to feel as though you're not enough. However, this kind of self-blame only keeps you trapped in the cycle of pain. Instead, rebuilding your identity is about forgiving yourself for the past, letting go of the shame, and embracing the truth that you did the best you could with the information you had at the time. You are not defined by your mistakes or by the circumstances of your past. You are defined by your resilience, your ability to heal, and your commitment to moving forward. The process of rebuilding can feel daunting, especially if you've been in a relationship or situation that caused deep emotional wounds. However, it is also a time of immense possibility. As you rebuild, you start to gain clarity about who you want to be, what you want from life, and the type of relationships you deserve. This is a period of self-discovery, where you begin to break free from old patterns, old expectations, and old ways of thinking. You have the power to create a new narrative, one that is based on your true self and your deepest aspirations. As you take steps to rebuild your identity, you begin to see the power within you to create the life and the relationships you truly want. This new version of yourself is not only stronger, but more authentic and in tune with your own needs and desires. You learn to trust yourself again, to make decisions that honor your well-being, and to cultivate a life filled with meaning and purpose. Each day spent rebuilding is a step toward embracing your full potential and allowing the person you were meant to become to emerge. When we let go of someone who has broken us, it may seem as though we are walking into the unknown, but in truth, we are walking into a world of new possibilities. Often the fear of what lies ahead keeps us tethered to relationships that have caused us pain. We become so entangled in the past and what we think we are losing that we fail to see what we have the potential to gain. Stepping away from a toxic relationship is not an end, it is a beginning. It is the opening of a door to a future where we can heal, grow, and ultimately create a life that is fulfilling and aligned with our values. The future that awaits is not just about moving on from the past, it's about embracing a new chapter of growth and transformation. Every experience we have shapes us, but it doesn't define us. The pain of leaving behind someone who has hurt us can cloud our vision and make it difficult to imagine a life without them. But once we take that step, we open ourselves up to new opportunities, new relationships, and new experiences that will help us rediscover who we are and what we truly want. The future is full of potential, and we have the power to create a life that reflects our true worth and aspirations. There is an incredible power in reclaiming control of your life after a difficult relationship. The act of choosing yourself and walking away from someone who has broken you is a declaration of self-love and respect. It is a recognition that you are deserving of peace, happiness, and healthy relationships. In stepping away, you make room for new connections that are built on trust, mutual respect, and shared values. These relationships will uplift you rather than drain you, and will encourage your growth rather than stifle it. The future offers the possibility of building relationships that honor who you are rather than trying to force you to fit into someone else's version of who they think you should be. Additionally, walking away from someone who has caused you pain creates space for personal healing and growth. It allows you to focus on yourself and your own well-being, something that may have been neglected during the time you were in the relationship. You can start to reconnect with your passions, your goals, and your sense of purpose. With this newfound freedom, you can create a life that aligns with your values and what makes you truly happy. The time and energy you once spent on someone else can now be redirected toward nurturing your own dreams and aspirations. This is an opportunity to build a life that reflects the person you are becoming rather than the person you were when you were in the relationship. The future that awaits is not something that happens to us, but something we actively create. It requires courage, self-awareness, and a willingness to embrace the unknown. But it is also filled with endless possibilities. Walking away from someone who has broken you is not a sign of weakness. It is a testament to your strength and your commitment to your own happiness. It is a step toward a life that is full of love, peace, and fulfillment, something that everyone deserves. So embrace the future with open arms, knowing that you have the power to shape it, and that the best is yet to come.